I've taken over 2,500 sales calls and helped generate over $20 million of online coaching revenue. And in this video, I want to reveal the 5 tricks that me, my team, and all of my clients implement daily to make more sales. And these are tricks that you can implement immediately on your calls to also increase sales. My name is Connor Clark, and before we dive in, let me ask you an honest question. Would it be useful to have me review one of your sales calls and give you direct feedback? If yes, click the link below, submit your sales call for review, and I will personally watch your sales call, personally give you feedback, and personally help you understand exactly why you might be losing sales that you otherwise should have enrolled. This is a service I typically reserve exclusively for my coaching clients inside Sales Hub, and it's feasibly not something I can do forever. So if you'd like to take advantage and actually have me review one of your sales calls personally, click the link below and submit it quickly, otherwise you'll likely miss out. So trick number 1 is to ask, how do you feel? Now, the sales call is broken up into 3 specific parts. You have the part 1, which is the discovery, middle of the call is the pitch, and the end of the call is the close. In the discovery, and frankly throughout, a wonderful question to ask is, how do you feel? Reason, the discovery is all about adding value and increasing value. We do that by understanding people's current situation and their desired situation. The goal of the discovery is to create value. We do that by increasing the gap between where they are and where they want to be. The larger the gap, or the further the distance between where they are and where they want to be, the more value that we ultimately create in the sales call. Now, how do we extend these and how do we create a gap? We do that by going deep in the call. But what does going deep actually mean specifically in a discovery and specifically on a sales call? Ultimately, what it means is it means really learning about the person that you're talking to on a deep level, and we do that by asking questions. There are 4 levels of depth that you can create in the discovery. The first is the surface level. Now, we all know what the surface level ultimately is. It's talking about the weather, it's having awkward conversations with people, it's making awkward small talk in the lift. That is not valuable, that is not creating additional value. The level below that is the situational level. Now, this level is slightly more valuable than the surface level because it is slightly deeper, but it's also not a huge amount of value simply because it's just talking about the situation. If you were talking to a lead, the situation might specifically be something like, I'm not enjoying my 9 to 5. The level below this is the emotional level. This is the level of depth where things begin to get interesting and things begin to get value. Why? Because it's where we start to actually speak about the emotions and we begin to learn as a seller about the emotions of the person that we're talking to. It's the difference between I don't like my job and it's I don't like my job and I feel depressed when I wake up every single day. You can even see from there that we're already creating significantly more value by going slightly deeper into the emotions. Ultimate level of depth in a sales call is the root level. And this is when we're really getting to the value on a sales call. This is where we're getting to the root belief as to why people are ultimately struggling. It's the difference between talking about the weather, not liking my job, feeling depressed every single day, and ultimately at a root level feel like I'm failing my children and failing my family because I wake up depressed every single day because I hate my job. Which is more valuable? Talking to someone that hates their job or talking to someone that feels like they're failing their family? The deeper you go, the more value you create, the larger the gap between their current situation and their desired situation. The way that we navigate through these levels is by asking questions about people's feelings. Situational. What are you struggling with right now? I hate my job. How do you feel about that? I feel depressed every single day when I wake up. How do you feel about waking up depressed every single day? Well, I feel like I'm failing my family. The way that we go deeper is by asking people about their feelings. The first trick is to ask people how they feel. And if you're enjoying these concepts and you're finding this valuable and you'd like to go deeper into your coaching offer and into actually increasing the number of sales that you make, not just on sales calls, but in the entire sales process, consider applying for Sales Hub. All you gotta do is click the link in the description, schedule a call. Best case scenario, we'll have a chat and we'll change your business and change your life. Worst case scenario, we'll have a lovely conversation. So click the link, submit a quick application. I'd love to dive into these topics and really see if you're a good fit for Sales Hub. The second trick that you can utilize on sales calls is to get leads to actually write out the pitch. Now, what I mean by this is when we get into the second stage of a sales call, which is called the pitch, where we're actually telling about us. The discovery is all about learning about them. The pitch is all about telling them what we do and how we can help them solve the problems that we've uncovered. When you get to this stage, a really useful trick is to get them to write down everything that you say. Take notes. Why do we want them to take notes? Because when you get them to actually write down all of the solutions that you're providing to them, when you get to the point in the close where you tell them the price and you make them an official offer to join, it's incredibly valuable for them to be staring at an actual list, piece of paper, virtual, whatever that looks like for your business, but to have something written down where they can actually look at it. And in that moment, when they have to make a decision whether or not they're going to invest in joining your program or getting coaching from you, they actually have a written down document that's showing them exactly how they're going to solve all of the problems and go from where they are to where they want to be. Now, having this written down in front of them is incredibly powerful, because if they choose not to join, all of a sudden, this plan that they have written down is worthless. So getting them to write it down is a very, very powerful tactic to enroll more people and make more sales, because when they get to the end, when they have to make a decision, they're going to feel pretty silly not saying yes when they're literally staring at the solution. Trick number 3 is to state your goal. When you get to the end of the call, money's on the table, we've made an official offer, and now we're officially in the close. What often happens is that leads have some sort of an objection. And I'd say probably about 80 to 90%, there's some sort of objection, some sort of obstacle, some sort of limiting belief preventing them from immediately making a decision. So this isn't something that happens on a few calls, this is something that happens on a lot of calls. The biggest mistake that I see at this point of a call, when you're helping a lead make a decision in the close, is sellers put the wrong type of pressure on a lead to make a decision. It's really important that you do put some pressure onto a lead and hold them accountable in the right way. But when we do it the wrong way, it lands wrong. And if you've ever been on a sales call or ever been in a sales situation where the person that's selling you feels like they're trying to serve their own best interests rather than putting your interests ahead of their own, you know exactly what I mean. When we get to the end of the call, there's ultimately this invisible line of pressure. Now, this line is really important because in order to make a decision, we do need some sort of pressure. But there's two types. There is intrinsic pressure and there is extrinsic pressure. Intrinsic pressure is the pressure that we put on ourselves to make decisions in our best interest. Extrinsic pressure is the pressure that outside forces put on us and kind of force us to make decisions. Intrinsic pressure is good because that's people making their own decisions for their own best interest at heart. Extrinsic pressure is bad because this is the pressure that we're using to help outside forces to help people make decisions that may not necessarily be in their interest. We're kind of forcing people to make the decisions that they might not really want to make. When we get to the close and when we get to the point of the call and we're helping people make decisions, it's really, really important that we flirt with the line of pressure without ever crossing into the intrinsic side. The moment that you cross this line and you get into the extrinsic pressure, this is where leads don't show up for follow-up calls. This is where they make excuses to get out of the conversation. Your goal is to flirt with the line, but never cross it, never become an extrinsic pressure seller, always just focus on intrinsic. One of the amazing tricks that you can implement on your sales calls is when you get to the moment where you hear an objection, an obstacle, some sort of limiting belief, rather than diving in immediately to overcoming that objection, first, state what your goal is. Say something along the lines of, my goal is to help you make the best decision for yourself. If it's a yes and you decide to move forward, amazing. But if you decide no, that's totally okay. If you say something like that and the person that you are talking to, the lead, genuinely believes that you were just there to serve them with their best interest at heart, you've basically created some sort of force field, and it literally makes it impossible to ever cross this line. Because it doesn't matter what you say at this moment, you can never cross the line to be extrinsic. I was on a sales call once when I used the line and I let her know that I was just here to serve her. By the way, you have to actually mean it. Like, I genuinely do mean these things when I say these things. And I was just there to serve her and help her make the best decision for herself. On the follow-up call, she brought her husband, and right at the end of the call, when she was ready to make the decision, she turned to her husband and said, do you think this is the right decision? Now, in that moment, I knew that that wasn't beneficial, that it was her decision and that he was 100% supportive. So rather than letting him answer, I jumped in and challenged her to make a decision by basically saying something along the lines of, if you let him make this decision for you, you are no longer invited into this program. This is your decision. What do you decide to do? Now, if you you wrote that down in a script, that sounds horrible. That sounds extremely pressury. But because she genuinely believed and I genuinely meant that I was there just to help her make the best decision and serve her best interests, it became impossible to cross this line no matter what I said or how hard I tried. So trick 3 is let people know that your goal and actually say out loud that your goal is just to help them and just to help them make the best decision for themselves. Trick number 4 is to say, can I be 100% honest with you? Now, when it comes to coaching, one of the hardest things that coaches, sellers really struggle with is holding people accountable and being ruthlessly honest, especially when that honest advice may not be the easiest for the person to hear. Now, one of the best lines that you can use to hold people ruthlessly accountable is, can I be 100% honest with you? Why? Because as soon as they agree, you can say anything and it lands perfectly because they agreed to hear it. Now, if you have something that is particularly challenging to say, you might even ask twice. Can I be 100% honest with you? Yes? Are you sure? Like 100% honest. Once they agree, for you to be 100% honest with them, you can say anything at that moment to help them make a decision. So in the example of the lead that I spoke to had to turn to her husband, something that I could have said in that moment was, can I be 100% honest with you? No offense, but this has nothing to do with you. This is 100% your decision. What do you decide to do? Now, most people would struggle to say something like that on a call, but if you had permission to be 100% honest, you'd probably find it a little bit easier to actually say what's on your mind. I've never been on a sales call where I felt intuitively that I had to say something that didn't land well, as long as I said beforehand and I got permission to be 100% honest. Trick number 5 is to ask people, why is this decision a yes? When you get to the end of the call and someone has ultimately made the decision to join, there's usually this panic and this rush to process the investment to solidify the decision. What I suggest you do, and what my clients do, is we actually slow down at this moment and very purposely ask the question, why are you making this decision? The reason we do this is because we don't want to be like most people. Most people are desperate for sales. Most people are just desperate to process the investment and make money. If you wait at this moment and ask people why, a couple of beautiful things happen. One, they really solidify the decision in their mind because they actually take the time right before they process the investment and give you money to actually say out loud why they are making this decision. This is really important because it's going to limit chargebacks, it's going to limit buyer's remorse. It's also going to increase their participation in the program. It's going to increase case studies and testimonials and social proof. It's going to make it more likely that they're going to be more successful, so they're going to be more likely to refer you and your services to other people. Just this simple trick. If you did none of them except for this 5th trick, you would make significantly more money in your business just by how you were setting up the onboarding experience for clients. Now, the challenge that I hear, or the fear that I hear from people that I tell this to, is what if they change their mind? I have taken thousands of sales calls. I have enrolled thousands of people into programs. And after asking every single person this question at this moment, I have never had a single person that changed their mind. All I have had are significantly happier clients who significantly more enjoyed the process because things didn't feel so rushed. They didn't feel so panicked. They felt like they were more confident in their decision because they had the time to really process everything. And then they went on to be great clients, and many of them have gone on to be great friends. And if you'd like to make more sales in your coaching business and you'd like to enroll clients effortlessly with ease, consider joining Sales Hub. The link is in the description to apply for a call. There's no pressure on the call to join. Worst case scenario, we have a lovely conversation. Best case scenario, you find a community and a program to help you scale. So link is in the description. I'd love to talk to you more about your business and really dive into how we could be of service. And if you'd like more training specifically on how to scale sales for coaching businesses, there's other videos on the screen. We have more trainings available. Dive into those, and we'd love to serve you even further.